You're gonna watch a TV show?
Yes, I am. Don't judge my motherfucking life. Yes, I am. One of my favorite episodes in TV history is when Clueless was like recreating Scream, and I think the episodes it left you on a cliffhanger, and you had to pick up next week. It was called Scream Murray Scream, and Donald Faison, he was like playing pranks on everybody, but at some point it was like, yo, is everybody dead? Like, what are we doing? Like, is everybody dying for real? Like, they did not know that there was not a real killer on set. Amazing work.
Wow.
Shout out to Alicia Silverstone for still looking. Jesus Christ, man. Did you see her interview on Jimmy? Oh, my God. When she was on Jimmy Fallon, this was years ago, and Jimmy Fallon was asking her about a Clueless sequel. She looked like...
I think I know which interview you're talking about too, because she had just came back to acting because she was in a movie she was promoting.
She looked amazing. And she was so, this was years ago, because Jimmy Fallon actually was like, he was like, yeah, everybody's asking, is there going to be a Clueless sequel? And she was like, Amy Heckerling has publicly said she doesn't want to do a sequel, but there's a musical coming out on Broadway, a Clueless musical. Nobody gives a fuck. We want that sequel. Nobody gives a fuck about that musical. But I will watch it, though. I will watch it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would watch it.
Well, not the musical, but you know what?
No. Let's see.
He said no.
Let's see what else. Yeah, it's been a relatively scarce news week.
Yeah, man.
Pretty interesting considering all the big movies that just came out and the movies that are coming out. Have you seen the Thunderbolts yet? Because I haven't.
I have not. I've heard good things about it though.
Yeah, me too.
I've heard some good feedback from the Thunderbolts.
Let's see, and yeah, I think that wraps up for news because there's nothing going on. Let's see what else. Yeah, no, I got nothing.
He said, "Yo, I got nothing." Well, all right, hold on. Let me look at my. Oh, wait. Before we get into our main event, everybody's favorite Jaws sequel, Jaws: The Revenge, is actually getting a fan-made documentary. So everybody be on the lookout for that. Starring Lorraine Gray and Lance Guest and Mario Van Peebles and Lynn Whitfield. Everyone's favorite Jaws sequel is getting a fan-made documentary. I repeat. So there's that.
Wow.
He said... You look so fucking confused.
Yeah. Like, what? Who the fuck wants to watch that?
You look so fucking confused. You're just like... like, what the fuck? Yeah, but notice how I said fan-made documentary, because the director is not going to. The director, they probably came to him and was like, yo, somebody's making a fan-made. He's like, yo, go ahead, let him do it. I don't even care no more.
Yeah. Update: Cavs are beating the shit out of the Pacers, 95-79, going into the third quarter.
God damn. Yeah, that's a revenge game, man. The Cavs have been spanking ass. They've been spanking ass and taking names after the fact all season long. And shout out to them.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Cavs for doing that, man. Because fuck.
And that Knicks game yesterday was pretty wild. That ending was wild to me. I just feel like they would have called that a foul on anyone else, bro. Seriously.
When you hit me up about the game, I wanted to stay up on the score and things like that. Like it was Cinco de Mayo. I got up with some friends and we were doing shots of tequila and listening to Selena and watching fucking like Sicario and shit like that. Like we were. It was an interesting time, man. It was an interesting time. We listened to Big Pun. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, we were really like trying to pay our fucking dues, man. And at that point, like, I was already happy to be out the crib. But when we started listening to Selena, you know, like, and then we started listening to Big Pun. I was like, okay, yeah. We started listening to Pun. I was like, all right, cool. Then the movies start coming on, and I was like, what Spanish movies? I was like, what Spanish movies we can watch, man? Like, what can we watch? That's Spanish. Like, I was super fucking hype about it.
Should have watched that Desperado.
Yo, I told him that. I told my homie who crib I was at. I was like, listen, I said I've seen Desperado years ago once, and I've seen Once Upon a Time in Mexico twice, I think. But I said I've never seen El Mariachi. Never seen it. Never seen it. So I was like, yo, I need to get with the shits for sure.
Damn, are the Cavs gonna win this one? Damn, looks like it.
I don't know who I'm rooting for out of that series. I don't know because the Cavs and the Pacers got dogs, and I don't know who I'm rooting for just yet, man. Everybody else is like, yeah, I figured it out. I know who I'm rooting for, but the Cavs and the Pacers, I'm very much undecided because they're both fucking dogs, for sure.
End of the third, 98-81, going into the fourth. Warriors play tonight at 6:30 against the T-Wolves. Game one.
They better close it out. Better close it out, man.
All right. So, speaking of closing out, these are films that these directors just could not close out because they just could not reach deals with the studios, with the writers, with actors, with anyone else. And this just keeps carrying on with the theme from last week, which was developmental hell. Today, it's director what ifs. What if these directors had directed these films, had they got the financing, had they had the drive to finish it? I am really just interested in hearing what you got on your list. I got some questionable ones on mine, but I am excited to talk about one Rob Zombie project on here. That'd be kind of fun.
Likewise.
Yeah. So I kicked it off last time. You kick it off today.
If I'm kicking it off today, you mentioned Rob Zombie in the forefront. My number 5 is actually a Rob Zombie movie. Funny enough, man. My number 5. My number 5. Let's just skip all the pleasantries here, man. My number 5 is actually I wish that Rob Zombie got a chance to direct The Crow 2037. That's my number 5, man. Now, I remember, I think this was in the works after the second movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because the first movie had already been his thing. And, you know, recipe shout out to Brandon Lee. And also recipe shout out to, funny enough, morbidly enough, Michael Massey, who pulled the trigger to kill Brandon Lee. That actor passed away too. So recipe shout out to everybody that, you know, was a part of the making of The Crow. But that movie is what it is, and it was what it was. Fucking classic forever. And The Crow City of Angels, you know, I remember that was one of the first movies that didn't really stand a fighting chance. You know, this was before the internet and things like that. Yeah. But people were like, oh, you're doing a sequel to what? Brandon Lee, The Crow? Oh, I don't even want it. Like, this is when people were, super judgmental about sequels. My beloved Brandon Lee, not my Eric Draven hashtag before hashtags even existed type of thing. And then I remember hearing about, and then I wasn't after I saw The Crow City of Angels. It was definitely like years later. And I was online doing some research and shit. Like, again, this is when the internet first started popping. But I was like, I had no idea that Rob Zombie was attached to do the Crow movie. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and that's cool. But I think Rob Zombie being a punk rocker, like a fan of rock music, just a fan of just artistry and shit like that, and a fan of, he's a particular fan of certain properties. The Crow, I'm not so sure, but just certain properties in general. Seeing Rob Zombie craft a Crow movie would have been amazing.
Yeah.
And for the record, I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to be like, oh, you're fucking crazy, but would you rather have the Crow 2037 by Rob Zombie? Or would you rather have fucking The Crow Salvation with fucking Eric Mabius and Kirsten Dunst and Jodie Leno-Keff? And don't get me wrong, I love Eric Mabius and Kirsten Dunst and Jodie Leno-Keff, but they don't belong in a fucking Crow movie. The Gregster, like the Gregster from Cruel Intentions, like, is the Crow. Now, don't get me wrong, when they executed him and he woke up in the storage in the morgue, and he like peeled his face off, and it kept the scars on his face, and that was like the Crow makeup itself. That was really cool, and I love the fact that he's going back to kill the guys, the dirty cops and detectives, whatever, that were responsible for his girlfriend's death. But I'm like, this movie's just, it's not edgy enough. It's not hitting for nothing. This isn't even as good as the second movie, which isn't even as good as the first one. So when Rob Zombie was on board to direct The Crow, I was like, wait, we could have and the audacity for you sons of bitches in The Crow Salvation to put Living Dead Girl in a chase sequence. Oh. There's a chase sequence in The Crow Salvation. Swear to God, bro. There's a chase sequence in The Crow Salvation where the Crow is in the car with what's his name? What's his name? Dale Midkiff, the dad from Pet Sematary, and they're playing that. They're playing that while he's in the car, like antagonizing this dirty cop and stabbing him in the hand, and dirty cop. Now it is a good scene because Dale Midkiff realizes, he's like, "You're him. Holy shit, we killed you." While they're listening to that Rob Zombie song, there's something that just comes together pretty well in that moment right there. But overall, it's like, this was supposed to be Rob Zombie's movie. And I feel like Rob Zombie could have handled a more competent, well put together Crow film. Now, I don't know who he would have got to play the Crow. Maybe it would have been fucking William Forsythe. I don't know. One of the Rob Zombie extras. I don't know who it would have been. But I think that he would have been way better off directing this movie. And I wish we would have got to see that made, as opposed to, fucking The Crow Salvation, Stairway to Heaven. I do like, or not Stairway to Heaven, Salvation and Wicked Prayer. I do like Stairway to Heaven is what I meant to say. Stairway to Heaven was the TV show that was on like UPN or whatever it was. But
like at 2 in the morning.
I think we would have, it would have been and I also think that Rob Zombie would have made a much better movie, because they were planning on putting DMX and Eminem in a Crow movie. And I'm like, the fuck you? The fuck you talking about? Like, I don't know. I don't want that shit. I don't want it. At the time, I did not want it. The fuck you talking about? So that's my number 5. I wish Rob Zombie made The Crow 2037.
So they apparently took his ideas and put them in Salvation.
Exactly. And had the audacity, as I said, had the audacity to put his fucking Living Dead Girl song in that movie, bro. I promise you. I'm going to send you the clip. I'm not even going to send you like the whole YouTube clip. I'm going to record it myself and send it to you, because they literally put that shit in the movie. Like, how dare y'all?
Well,
Dimension Films, man. Dimension Films.
Uh, Staying with the Rob Zombie. This is another movie Rob Zombie was supposed to direct in the 2010s, and it's a departure from what he's used to doing. It is called, and it's a biographic movie on the Broad Street Bullies from Philadelphia in the 70s. So,
What?
yeah, the Philadelphia Flyers had the Broad Street Bullies in the 70s that run roughshod through the NHL for over a decade, and he had a script written, but he ran into legal issues and legality issues because certain players and certain people didn't want certain things out there, didn't want him to make these people look in a certain light. You know what I mean? Much kind of like how Magic Johnson had a problem with his portrayal on Winning Time. These were the people who were like,
Yeah.
no, we don't want that. And I would have been so curious to see what this movie would have looked like had Rob Zombie have done this. Also, I want to know if Rob Zombie is a hockey fan, if he's a Flyers fan, or if he just likes the idea of the Broad Street Bullies and like the mythology that they created throughout hockey. Like, what the fuck? You look shocked.
Yo, yeah. Because I never knew that Rob Zombie was going to make a movie based on this shit.
Yeah. He got as close to writing the script for it in 2012, and in 2014 he shelved it indefinitely due to libel issues. So he was on a podcast. I can't remember the name, but he also said that when it's not your story, you have to clear it with a whole lot of people. And because this is not original storytelling, I have to clear this with a lot of people.
That's true.
So he decided to just shelve it indefinitely. But I honestly think if he was able to shoot this like in 16 millimeter, make it look like a shot on film, give that great, this could have looked like a docu. I don't know how he would have filmed it, but me envisioning it would have been like a mockumentary of the Broad Street Bullies. Would have been fucking cool, man.
Yo, I've this is the first I've ever heard of the shit. Like of Rob Zombie about to direct and I really want to make a post later on tonight. Like, yo, did y'all know Rob Zombie was going to do a Philly fucking movie? And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to hate on it and be like, no. It's like, stop fucking playing. Rob Zombie is not a bad director. No. It's just when he gets certain properties, people get their panties in a fucking bunch, and they forget who they're dealing with. I think that if you're a Rob Zombie fan, you know exactly what the fuck you're going to get.
Yeah.
Or maybe you don't know, but you know something along the lines of what you're going to get content-wise, and people still manage to act surprised by that shit. And I've never understood that, man. That was like when he made Halloween. It was like when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, all right. Like I said, the last shit I had was Resurrection. I'm with this. Like, I'm with this. Like, let's get gritty again. Let's get mean. Let's get scary again. Let's get intimidating. Let's take it seriously again. And everybody was like, what the fuck is this? I don't know this redneck shit. It's like, yo, it says a Rob Zombie film right above it. Yeah. You bitches act like you don't know what the fuck you're dealing with, man. Listen. Yeah, I did not know. I did not know. That
would have been crazy, dude. Like, I would have loved to have seen him just step out of horror and to do like a biopic movie, kind of like this. Yeah. That would have been insane.
Exactly. Yeah. To see him step out of the genre and do something different, because if it would have been received well, he would have been like, yo, all right, well, let me try something else outside the horror genre. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he wouldn't have put himself in a fucking box. You know, because now everybody, whether they love him or hate him, they expect Rob Zombie to make horror movies, psychological horror movies, whatever you have it. They expect him to make one thing. And I think that movie that you mentioned would have been fucking great for him to do, man.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been so good.
Street Bullies, man. Damn, what could have been, dude? What could have been?
I think it can still happen. I think that I'm going to send Rob Zombie an email this evening.
Tell him that you work for the front office of the Philadelphia Flyers. and I approve.
Yeah, like listen, man, like I used to work for them, right? Like they fired me, but I used to work for them. No big deal. I still want this movie. There's a lot of people that have this in demand. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
man, I never knew that. That would have been so fucking great. Damn, that would have been so good.
yeah, I would have. Oh man, what could have been?
So,
All right, what's your number
fucking,
4?
so fucking disappointed. My number 4. there's probably some people out there that have like I used to be a gamer at one point in time in my life. I haven't been a gamer in like a couple years, but if people were gamers with me, then they know exactly where I'm coming from with this, and they know I couldn't be touched in this shit. I was fucking amazing in this game. I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm not even really gonna talk about it a lot more as far as the game goes. But my number 4, as far as movies that I wanted, directors I wanted to see make these movies, I wanted to see, and it was talked about at some point in time, and we never got to see it, prosper fully. I wanted to see Peter Jackson make Halo. I did. I know you're not a big fan of the Halo TV series.
Whoa!
And I know
whoa! He was what? What?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Peter Jackson was supposed to make Halo at one point in time, and I know how you feel about the series. I know you don't like the fact that what's his name? Took the Master Chief took the helmet off.
Yeah.
I know you don't. Yeah, I know you hate that shit. I know you hate it. But I don't feel like Peter Jackson would have done that. I don't think that's a decision that he would have made personally with his own movie. But Halo, that was when I first got my Xbox, which I still have to this day. Halo was the game that came with it, and I went into it blind. I did not know what the fuck it was, and when I started playing it, I was like, okay, I am a superhuman created something first-person shooter. I'm cool with that. But then you got aliens, you got soldiers that rock out with you. Every aspect of the game was worthy of a film. And when I beat that game, I think I beat the first Halo in like a week. When I got it with the original Xbox, I spent a week on it. When I got out of school and got my homework done and all that shit, I'm playing Halo for the rest of the afternoon into the wee hours of the fucking night, into the wee hours of the dawn, until I beat this shit. And it was so many elements of it where I'm just like, this is bound for a movie. The aliens, the zombies, the creatures, all like the humans, all of it, the artificial intelligence, everything that was going on in this game, this newfound game that they built for Xbox. I was like, wait, this is a movie. And when I found out Peter Jackson was going to do it, at first I was like, wait, hold on, man. But almost right away, I was like, this is the guy that did Lord of the Rings. And while I'm not super crazy about Lord of the Rings, I think the overall scope and budget of those films would have been great for a fucking Halo movie. Creatures and human characters and storylines and things like that. I think that it would have been much better. Like the show, I didn't mind the show. Now, I fell off the show. I want to finish watching it, but I think a movie was something that I was waiting on more so than a show. I would have loved a fucking movie as opposed to a show. And Peter Jackson, I didn't look at it like, I feel like the Dead Alive moments, his early career, that's the shit that I want out of, the horror elements of the game. Like the horror elements of the game is like with the aliens and they call it the Flood. Like, and the Flood is like these creatures, these nasty ass creatures, and some of them crawl into dead bodies and resurrect them, and they run around with shotguns and they fire off shotguns and machine guns because it's like parasites, pretty much. And I feel like that, like the Flood part of the game would have worked well if Peter Jackson was directing it, because he directed that sequence. I don't know if you saw King Kong, where they were in that cave with those bugs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the Flood. If you play the Halo game, that's the Flood sequence when they were in that cave and all those creatures and the crickets and the big ass shits. Oh yeah, that's it. But
I fucking hated that level. Fuck that level. I
think Peter, what the flood?
Yeah, the flood level.
When that shit went into them bodies and slithered into them bodies, and they came out and they was letting the shotguns off with one arm. I was like, yeah, let's go. This is my zombie movie right here in this game. Fuck y'all. I'm gonna body everybody. I'm gonna murder everything moving. But I thought I was like Peter Jackson would have been like really good for this, and I personally, while I don't mind the show, I would have really wanted to see
what he could have done with it.
A feature-length film. And I just hear that music. Like, I hear that music playing in the trailer at some point, like towards the end of the trailer, just to get people hyped up. So, yeah. My number 4 was Peter Jackson directing Halo. I wish. All right, well, no shout out to
sticking with Peter Jackson, this is actually very early on in his career, and we talked about this last week.
We sure did.
Yeah.
We sure did.
This was his early script for his pitch for the definitive Nightmare, the original idea for Freddy's Dead, and Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Lover. Mm-hmm. Jackson had submitted the script and pitched to New Line. New Line was impressed, but they opted to go with Rachel Talalay. I don't know why.
You don't sound happy about that shit at all, yo.
No, man, because when I read this plot synopsis of Dream Lover about an older Freddy Krueger who does not have his powers, and all these kids go to this dream, all these kids sleep to go beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And no one's scared of him until one kid slips up, which I don't know how or why or how that happened. But somehow he gets this kid and starts to regain his strength back, and then we start seeing Freddy become more evil and evil. The idea was about to make Freddy a joke, which was, at that point in time, he already was. He was on MTV daily, you know what I mean? It felt like it anyway. And I felt like that would have been like really strong commentary on the franchise itself. New Line passed on it because it's not what they wanted. New Line, you didn't even know what the fuck you wanted, which is why you greenlit movies a fucking year ahead of the fucking box office return. Get the fuck out of here with that.
Oh, shit.
That's how we got That's how we got the Dream Child.
You don't like
the Dream Child? I mean, the idea is there, but it's just so undercooked that like there's really nothing there. You know what I mean? Needs to be in the oven just a little bit longer. You know, they had 6 months to write it and then 3 months to shoot it, and you could tell. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen what a Peter Jackson Nightmare on Elm Street movie would have looked like, especially at that time. In 92, 93, when he's just coming up dead alive?
He would have went that's one of my honorable mentions, but he would have went crazy with the creativity. And I think that's something that the fucking remake had none of. And a lot of people love that fucking remake, but that remake had no creativity. But leave it up to Peter Jackson. This was pre-Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying? Like, Peter Jackson would have bodied a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, bro. Like, for sure. Yeah. And like you said, the time frame that it was in, he was still like, oh, I can do this and I can do. He was like a kid in a candy store. You know what I mean?
I think Robert Englund would have definitely loved this idea. I think he would have loved this idea. He would have ate this shit up, man.
I think this can still work. Like, Old Man Freddy, but I think the one thing that would piss people off is the fact that you got to get somebody else to play Freddy Krueger. You got to get an older actor who's an old, withered Freddy cowering in the corner while the Dream Warriors or the Dream Police, whatever, beat his ass. And then he gets that one kid where he fucks him up and then he just gets restored back to full health, where you change the makeup up a little bit. Like, it could
slowly but surely you start seeing muscles, and then the burns start coming back. Exactly. The razor's a little bit sharper and stronger. Oh
Yeah,
man, like,
it could work. It could definitely work, but you know, the Wes Craven estate, and God bless them, the Wes Craven estate, they said no. They said, listen, y'all not getting this shit. Not this. They said, listen, we done seen these My Bloody Valentine and Halloween remakes that y'all been doing. We're not doing
yeah,
this shit.
yeah.
They said, we got integrity, motherfuckers. We're not doing this at all.
Seriously, but yeah, Dream Lover would have been so good. I wonder who would have been the main cast, the main antagonist. I think from the Fangoria article that I read, that the idea was to bring back Jacob from the Dream Child, and he was
Yeah.
supposed to be one of the ones that leads the charge, which
Jacob.
would have been great.
Jacob. Listen, Jacob, I was just watching it was a Dream Child Q&A panel, and that actor, I can't remember that actor's name off the bat, and I want to remember it before I decide to type it in and look it up, but that actor was up there, and he looks like fucking John Franklin from Children of the Corn. Like, I don't know if they've got that thing where they're just short. I need to be careful with what I say here, but I don't know. But he's up there and he's got a fucking hat on, and he's like, yeah. He said the good thing about me is that my face is still fucked up, so I would love to do another Nightmare movie. Let's go. And I'm like, all right, sure, but I hate him in every movie he's in. I don't like him in Dream Child. I don't like him in Jurassic Park. I don't like him in the Addams Family. I don't like him in anything. Nothing against the actor, but I hate his characters.
Yeah, he
In
does
Jurassic,
look like Isaac.
he
And
does.
I
John
want
Franklin,
to
he sure
fucking
does.
throw a coconut at his face just for wearing that stupid hat.
In fucking what the fuck was it? Goddamn, in Jurassic Park, I never liked him. Ever since a kid, when he was like, that doesn't look very scary. Looks like a 6-foot turkey. And then Alan Grant, pops up to him
The little
up close
razor.
with that fucking claw. And then he's in the Addams Family movie where, remember the lady, she takes that napkin and she like licks it, like she's like, and she wipes it on his face.
Yeah.
And he's doing that, sunflower dance routine. Na 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 na. I'm like, yo, I don't like this fucking cat. I don't like him. And he's annoying in the Dream Child. He's like, I like you. Why don't you like me? She's like, who said I don't like you? He's like, my friend with the funny hand. Well, you fucking succumb to peer pressure, sir. So fuck off. Like, I don't like him. I don't like him in any movie he's in. The actor is cool, but the characters that he plays, I just...
Are annoying little shits, man.
Yep. Can't get with it. I can't get with it, man. I cannot.
Yeah, so that's my number 4, Dream Lover.
Okay, that's good. That's my honorable mention. One of my honorable mentions. So we're on number 3 now.
Yeah, you're on 3.
So my number 3 couldn't have. I could not make this list without having some type of Halloween Michael Myers affiliation on it. Long story short, right? Like my number 3. Long story short, I wish John Carpenter had directed Halloween H2O. Yeah. Yes. Listen. Let me just say this. I love Halloween H2O. I do. I think, flaws and all, it's one of the most important entries in the Halloween franchise. And flaws and all, I do think it's one of the best, structure-wise, I think it's one of the best slasher movies that we got in the 90s. Or that we may have gotten, period. But flaws and all, Steve Miner was not the motherfucker for Halloween H2O at all. I don't give a fuck if Steve Miner did Friday the 13th 2 and 3. I love him for that. That was his lane. Your lane is not everybody can bounce around. Not everybody can be. Remember Marcus Nispel in 2003 did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then in 2009 it was like, yo, you want to do Friday the 13th? He was good at both. Not everybody can do that shit. And I think Steve Miner made a very watered down, flawed, safe Halloween movie, which was not good for a lot of fans out there like me. Because Halloween H2O, as good as it is structurally and story-wise, I think that the flaws in it, you cannot fucking ignore. You've got 4 different fucking masks throughout the whole movie. You've got continuity errors with Michael Myers, no burn scars. You can see his fucking eyes. The mask looks like shit. Like, there's so much wrong with Halloween H2O. But I feel like John Carpenter wanted, what, $1 million to direct? Nowadays, that's small change. That's minuscule to nowadays budget, bro. And I think that in 1998, why not pay John Carpenter what the fuck he wanted? He was fresh off of, now, in the 90s, John Carpenter did not have a great run. He didn't. No. It wasn't great, but I think in 98 or so, he was fresh off of John Carpenter's Vampires, which was a hit. I mean, well, I don't know if it was a hit. I think for me, personally, I love that movie. So to see him direct something like that, which was badass, it had great characters, great vampires, great action, great horror, why would you not pay John Carpenter, the man who, like, this is his baby? Why would you not pay that man what he wanted to make Halloween H2O, especially when Jamie Lee Curtis was lobbying for this man to make the movie? She called him up and was like, hey, you know, we're still in show business after, 20 years and shit like that. Like, why don't we make an anniversary movie? Jamie Lee Curtis was so proactive back then for the sequel, and for them to turn down John Carpenter's, like, what he wanted was a big fucking mistake. Because what we got was, like a Scream, Dawson's Creek knockoff, and it's just filled with flaws, man. I feel like if John Carpenter would have came back, we would have got good framing, we would have got great direction, we would have got great tension, we would have got great horror, great writing. There's no doubt in my mind that John Carpenter would have did the score for the movie also. The score in Halloween H2O is fucking terrible. I don't care what nobody says. That shit does not fit, and no disrespect to John Ottoman or whoever did the score. I think it was John Ottoman, the guy that did Urban Legends. Yeah, no disrespect, but that score does not fit. They sample music from Scream, blatantly sample music from Scream in chase sequences in that movie. The score does not fit. I think everything would have played into John Carpenter's favor if that movie would have been good. I think the direction would have been better too, like as far as like how the actors acted in that movie. I think John Carpenter would have had a hand on set in that movie, man, if he would have got to make it. And I think that
it says that the Scream music was added during post-production.
Stupid. Dumb.
Wow.
Dumb shit. Dumb shit. Yeah, that shit was terrible. Because the moment that Michael is, when she hits him with the fire extinguisher and he's walking and they've got like that kind of larger than life shot on Chris Duran as he's walking down the hallway after them. That's the music when Tatum is getting attacked in the fucking in the garage. And I'm just like you're not gonna get that pass on me. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a fan of this shit. Like I do this shit for real. So I'm like, nah, man. But I think John Carpenter directing Halloween H2O, I think we would have gotten one of the best, not only one of the best horror slasher movies of the late 90s, but I think of the 90s in general. I think that would have went down with Scream and Urban Legend and shit like that. I think we would have gotten. I know what you did last summer. We would have gotten one of the best, if not the best, 90s slasher movie with John Carpenter directing it, because I feel like he would have got back to his roots before it was too late. He tried to do The Ward in 2009, and I haven't seen that in a while. I remember liking it, but I didn't
care though. It was just like a paycheck for him. It was just like whatever. Like I'll do it. I don't care.
Exactly. And if you want to remake my shit, then just put my name on it and give me a check. Like that was with The Fog and things like that. So yeah, I think that John Carpenter doing H2O, we would have got a banger. We would have avoided Resurrection. And if we didn't avoid Resurrection, we would have avoided all the stupid shit that came with it. I don't think John Carpenter would have like allowed it to go with that. And maybe, who knows, he might have done another situation with Halloween 2 where he's like, all right, well, I'll write Resurrection. I don't want to, but let me get this 6-pack and let me just write it and this, that, and other. Like it would have been okay.
I feel it had Carpenter directed H2O. I feel like the ending would have been a little bit more definitive.
Maybe because he might have been like, listen, we're gonna cut his head off and stomp on it, and we're gonna take the mask off, look at it, and do his dental records, all that shit. Like, yeah, John Carpenter would be like, we're not playing with y'all. We're not about to play with y'all at all.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's my number 3. Is I wish John Carpenter directed Halloween H2O, and shout out to Steve Miner, but there was a lot of fuck ups, bro. Lots of fuck ups, bro. Lots of them.
All right, my number 3 is a movie Quentin Tarantino wrote while he was doing Inglourious Basterds. Started off as a side story about a bunch of black POVs stranded in Switzerland and get an escape and leave a trail of bodies all over to Central Europe. The movie is called Killer Crow, and this is a World War II movie. It's a spin-off of the Inglourious Basterds movie. They were supposed to have a side story in the movie where the bastards meet them in Germany, and both of them go on a mission and just kill a bunch of Yazis, as they should. Started off as a side story. Tarantino wanted to make it into a feature, but he decided to do Django, and he felt like he did enough with Inglourious Basterds that he didn't want to go back to World War II because he already explored that world. I don't know what this movie would have looked like, but I am very curious to see what this movie would have looked like, because I think this would have been a fucking great movie, honestly.
Tarantino, listen, what? Hold on, what's the name of it again? I almost typed in Inglourious Basterds.
The movie is called Killer Crow. I really wonder who he would have casted in this movie, what the would have looked like. Yeah, this would have been really interesting to see. I'm not a fan of Jackie Brown, but that's mainly because that's not his material. He's adopting Elmore James's material, and I just feel like those two voices just did not mesh very well.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. It was,
yeah, I never knew that, because I've seen Jackie Brown once. Well, I've seen it twice, but the second time I watched it like on my own all the way through, no distractions type of thing.
Elmore Leonard, and the book is called Rum Punch. But yeah, Jackie Brown is just not one of my favorites from his, but he wanted to do Django. So I was like, okay, he got to do his Western.
He said he was originally going to do this as a miniseries.
Oh, was he?
God damn. He said, but that was in December 2012. So he had this in mind for a long time.
Yeah. Because there is a portion of the script of Inglourious Basterds where the Bastards meet the Killer Crow team. And he has confirmed that on a podcast, that he did write a side story featuring that group of POWs.
I love that all of it is in the same. It's all in the same universe. Like I love that. That's why one of the many reasons why Quentin Tarantino is a fucking genius.
So yeah, I want to see what that movie would have looked like, who he would have casted. It would have been.
He would have casted
great to see
some of his regulars. I'm sure would have been
Sam Jackson. You probably would have finally got to work with Lawrence Fishburne.
Was that one of his wish list actors?
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne was supposed to play Jules originally.
In Pulp Fiction?
Yeah. But Lawrence Fishburne's agent told him not to do it because his agent said, look, it's a side character. It's not a leading role. You want leading man material. You do not want side material. And Yeah, he fired his agent after the movie premiered.
Of course. Fuck up out of here, man. You were wrong.
And Sam Jackson had auditioned for one of the Reservoir Dogs. I'm not sure which role, though. He never said which one he auditioned for. I think he was supposed to be Mr. Pink.
This is... Certain topics just make me fucking frustrated overall. I don't like it.
Yeah, but that's my number 3, Quentin Tarantino. There's not much more information on that particular subject or story other than what I just have mentioned. But other than that, that's it, man. Killer Crow, number 3.
Yeah, this is He said it's destined to go down as one of the many enticing sounding movies that he never ended up making. Dude, listen, I don't even want to talk about Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino is frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Quentin Tarantino's going to announce retirement soon. I don't know why I feel like that, but I do feel like he's going to announce retirement soon. And I want him to make everything that he ever set out to make originally. Like, just do it. Whether it's a sequel, whether it's an original idea, just go out and do it, man. Like, you're one of the fucking GOATs. And I feel like I want him to do that before he ends up, hanging it up for good. And trying to pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah. His other movie, I think called The Critic, was scrapped. So he's not even doing that movie anymore. So I don't even know if he's going to do another movie.
Oh, Quentin.
Honestly, man, if he just walked away after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and just walked into the sunset, honestly, that would be his masterpiece, honestly. That's just like a great way to leave it.
I still gotta watch it.
You still haven't watched it?
I told you I've only seen that one part where the Manson family came in and they got fucked up. That's it, where that girl got. What was that? That was the girl from Scream.
Yeah,
the girl that got burnt up.
Madison.
She got. Yo, they got fucked up, man. And I was like really into it when I saw that sequence because I was like, oh, this is the Manson family shit where they walk up on the block and they cut the lights out and they stroll up in people's homes, and Brad Pitt was not playing no games with them at all. And I was like, this is so violent.
Yeah.
Like I was caught off guard that I forgot who the fuck made the movie for a second. Like I was like,
and the music,
like, wait, this is
the music too. The way the tension and the music is building throughout that scene is fucking top tier, dude.
Crazy.
Just top tier edit.
Crazy shit.
All right, what's your number 2?
Okay. Cross that out real quick. My number 2, obviously, I had to put my boy on the list. I had to put my mans on the list. You know, I'm a big George A. Romero fan myself. Even though there's a lot of movies of his I haven't seen, but this is one that I think that if I did see it, I probably wouldn't be too disappointed. And I just recently watched a documentary on this. My number 2, I wish George A. Romero directed Resident Evil. Listen to me, people out there of the world. I love Resident Evil. I think Resident Evil, next to the Tremors franchise, is my favorite guilty pleasure franchise. They get dumber as they go along. They amp up the action. They amp up the effects. They amp up the goofiness. I love that shit. I love it being a guilty pleasure franchise. Resident Evil Extinction is my favorite. Resident Evil Afterlife is probably my least favorite. But and Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, I appreciate it for ambition. But when I saw that documentary, and I've always been curious about what George A. Romero was going to do with this property, but when I saw that documentary, bro, It was very bittersweet. I was very sad by the end of it because the shit that George A. Romero had in this script, yeah, it may have been a little crazy, but it's Resident Evil. Like, what the fuck? What is sane in a Resident Evil, movie adaptation? There's snakes, there's spiders, there's crows, there's dogs, there's hunters, tyrants, and like all of what you wanted in those first couple Resident Evil games, especially that first one, were present in that first script. And God damn it, I was so heartbroken when I was done that documentary because I'm like, wait, you mean to tell me you turned this down and went and got Paul, and no disrespect to Paul W.S. Anderson, y'all know I love Paul W.S. Anderson, man, and I love his guilty pleasure shit with Resident Evil. I love Death Race, Event Horizon, and Mortal Kombat. Cool, that's fine. But you mean to tell me you turned down George A. Romero, the godfather of the zombie genre, for Paul W.S. Anderson, who turned this shit into the Matrix? Fuck you. Fuck you forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it goes to show just how wrong they did him in that documentary because he was ready. He had everything on board that he needed, and they were like, yeah, well, we kind of, we like this idea, we want to use it, but we kind of don't need you, man. We don't want this shit. And it was just such a rotten deal that he got, and I think that's a testament of George A. Romero's career. He was known for getting rotten deals with the movies that he wanted to make, and I don't think this was going to be a movie that was like very like socially conscious. I don't think that this was going to be socially conscious. I mean, they may have mentioned things in the documentary where George A. Romero might have been saying something, but as far as this compared to the rest of his movies, I don't think this was going to be like super heavy-handed with the message. This was just going to be dumb fun.
A true creature feature.
Exactly. It's creature feature, dumb fun, zombie movie based off of a video game, and there's a reason they hired him. There's a reason they hired him to do the Resident Evil 2 video game commercial. He directed that, and when he directed that, they were like, wait, this guy might understand what the fuck we need. And then when he got everything that they needed, they dicked him over for it. And I hate that, man. I hate that George A. Romero went to his grave like not knowing how, like, I guess kind of in a way not knowing how appreciated he was. And I think that this would have been the Resident Evil movie that would have got the horror right.
Yeah.
If anything, because I do think that there's horror elements of the first movie, and I think that there's horror elements they brought back with Welcome to Raccoon City, but overall, I do think George A. Romero would have brought that horror shit that we've been lacking in the Resident Evil franchise to his version of the movie, man. And it was unfortunate, man. That documentary was so sad to watch because I'm just watching it, singing my shoulda, coulda, wouldas of what could have been with the whole property, man. And it's fucked up. They didn't give my man. They didn't put no spec on his name. They did.
I still gotta watch that documentary. Still gotta watch that.
It is good. It is good. It's long, but it's worth it because they break everything down. They tell you who was involved prior, who they got involved after, during, all of that shit. It's good. It's really good, bro.
All right, my number 2 is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4.
I got that on my honorable mentions.
Nice.
I got that on my honorable mentions.
So, Sam Raimi had developed a script for it, but him and Sony could not decide on the direction of the film, and they decided to split, which ended up making Sony do The Amazing Spider-Man and pivoting to that direction while Sam Raimi did other things. This one was going to introduce Vulture, Black Cat, and it was going to mark the first appearance of the Lizard.
Oh. Did they say who was going to play the Lizard?
It was going to be William Baker, the guy, the doctor from Oh my God! Why am I spacing on his fucking name, dude? Kurt Connors. So William Baker.
Wait, the guy that played him originally in the movies?
Yeah, in part 1
Oh,
and part
so
2.
he was still on board.
Yeah. And
Okay.
John Malkovich was signed on to play the Vulture, and I think they said they were going to have Bryce Dallas Howard play Black Cat. She was always going to be the Black Cat
John Malkovich
as the Vulture.
He's going to be talking like he's under pressure. Yes, listen, Peter, I don't
With
know what
his
you're
Russian
doing.
accent.
Yeah, I always think of him talking in Knockaround Guys, where he's like, Maddie, I don't know what you're doing, Maddie, but I know you're not supposed to be doing it.
Yeah,
like it's like, oh, like what? Like, are you asthmatic? Like, what the fuck are you saying right now? But John Malkovich as the Vulture?
Yeah. There was already concept art of him as the Vulture, which kind of looked cool because he actually looked like the 1960s version of the Vulture.
I'm actually not mad at that. I am not mad at that at all. John Malkovich, Vulture. Okay, they got some AI art here, but all right, man. Okay, maybe. I would have liked him. I'm sorry, like I know everybody loves Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin. I would have liked John Malkovich over Willem Dafoe as a villain. But what is up with them casting these old ass actors? And I'm not saying John Malkovich is an old ass dude, but what's up with them casting these old ass actors in these fucking Spider-Man movies, man? Like Willem Dafoe is not a spring chicken, okay? To be playing, Green Goblin. Alfred Molina is not a fucking spring chicken to be playing Doc Ock. And Thomas Hayden Church was not a spring chicken to be playing Sandman.
Hayden Church was pretty buff though in that role, so
he did because he's fucking walking around like this the whole movie. He's like, "All right, get out of my way, Spider-Man. I promise."
So
get out of my way.
So correction, it was supposed to be Anne Hathaway as Black Cat.
Mm-hmm. And she said, "You know what? Fuck y'all. I'm going over to DC. If I can't get my way here, let me keep auditioning for this Catwoman role." And that's probably what she did. I like Anne Hathaway as Black Cat because her as Catwoman, it was something about it, man. Like it wasn't Michelle Pfeiffer, but it was something she brought some sex appeal. She brought some sex appeal to it, for sure.
Spider-Man has a sticky situation to crawl out of. As reported by Deadline Hollywood, Spider-Man 4 is caught up in a web of disagreements that likely keep it from ever being released on May 5th, 2011 as planned. Further complicating things, Raimi reportedly went through 4 revisions of the script with different writers and still hated it. So many issues, Sony canceled the film in January 2010. What could have been? I think this would have been like I mean, I am not a fan of Spider-Man 3. I think there's just way too much going on in Spider-Man 3. And Raimi himself had said that he didn't even want the symbiote storyline in it. He didn't want Venom initially because he thought that it'd take away from the movie, which it did. And yeah, I feel like Spider-Man 4 would have been like a do-over for him to get back on track. But Sony didn't want that. And Sony always has a habit of interfering where they don't belong, doing some stupid shit, and just not listening to the director. Because they did the same thing with Mark Webb on The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And they made him cut down the movie from 2.5 hours to like about 2 hours or an hour and 150 minutes. Because there's an extended cut of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 that fills in a lot
is
of
it?
plot holes. Yeah.
I would watch that because I am probably one of the few fans on planet Earth that I love the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's got some problems with it, but I love the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I just love it. I just love that shit.
And then to end it on that fucking cliffhanger was so disrespectful, dude.
Yeah, that was
some
bad.
bullshit.
That was terrible. With Paul Giamatti.
No,
That shit
not that cliffhanger, not that cliffhanger. I'm talking.
Wait, which one?
There's another post credit scene where Peter is at his parents' graves, and all of a sudden his dad comes up. Hey, Peter, we need to talk.
Is that still alive?
Yeah.
Wait, what the fuck?
His mom and dad are still alive, and they're hiding from Osborn for some reason.
Nope. Let's get it out of here. Just get it the fuck out of here.
Yes. So that's I'm not a fan of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, not a fan of Spider-Man 3. But Spider-Man 4, what could have been, but it is what it is. What could have been. I think if Raimi had done this, he would have been able to get his franchise on track and end the franchise the way he wanted to end it.
Before we get to number one, I gotta real quick run to the bathroom. Also, some really random news. The Pacers just took a 2-1 lead or a 2-0 lead over fucking Cavaliers.
Fucking dude just fouled him at the dude. Oh my god, he fouled him, and he got a fucking 3-point play, dude. They were up 5. What the fuck are you doing? You don't foul in that situation with 30 seconds left. I don't know. Whatever.
All right, real quick. All right, let me run to the bathroom. Like 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Pacers won. 120-119. Mind you, they were down 20. And then they were down 5 with 30 to go. God damn. All right, I'll be right back. Come on. You gotta sit. Number. Sit.
Okay. And as I come back, people, I am alone. And we're going to figure out what to talk about until...
All right, I'm back. Fucking had to let the dog out real quick.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was about to be like, yeah, we got to figure out what to talk about until Zuko comes back on screen. Oh man, yeah, man. Them Pacers crept up.
They pulled the Nuggets, bro. There's the same shit the Nuggets did last night. Nuggets just stole that game last night too.
If Westbrook and Aaron Gordon keep pulling that shit off, then I'm rooting for Denver. I didn't want to, but fuck it. I want Russ to win something.
He has a shot this year. There's a real legitimate shot.
All right, what is we on? Number one? We on?
Number one.
Ooh, we on number one. We at the finish line now. Wait, did you do your number one yet?
No, not yet. I wonder if we have the same number one though.
Listen, I don't know because my number I did not struggle a lot with my number one, but I was like, I said I had some horror. I had some, like a video game adaptation and things of that nature. But this one, my number one, I was like, it's a no-brainer for me because in the midst of doing my research and looking up all the, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas of what directors could have made this, I was like, this is one that, even when I watched the first two movies, I still wonder what could have been with that third one. And I just think he got fucked out of a deal, honestly. Like, my number one, I wish Tim Burton got a chance to make Batman Continues.
That's not where I thought you were going, but that is a good one. That is a good one. Man. Yes.
Like, well, Batman Continues, Batman Legacy, Batman Triumphant. It was rumored to be a bunch of different titles, but either way, I wish Tim Burton got to make Batman 3 because Tim Burton was going to do a couple things that I think would have worked. First of all, WB was bitching. Oh, well, the Penguin, was too much sexual innuendo in Batman Returns, and Penguin had black shit coming out of his mouth. They basically let him know, thank you, Tim, for everything you've done, for all the success that you've brought us over here at Warner Brothers. We love you for it, but we want to go in another direction, bruh. We do. And they did keep Tim Burton on board as an executive producer for Batman Forever, which is one of the main reasons Batman Forever still works, in my opinion, because Tim Burton was still overseeing it. It's still a little bit of darkness and psychological shit to it.
Yeah.
Recipe shout out to Joel Schumacher. I'm not shitting on Joel Schumacher, but I'm just saying. There was something established with those first two movies with Tim Burton. And the shit that he was going to do later on, like Tim Burton was going to have Gina Davis as Poison Ivy, and I think Gina Davis at the time, Gina Davis had a pair of lips. Them fucking soup coolers on her was nothing to be played with, man. Like, you go back and watch like Beetlejuice and A League of Their Own and The Fly. The only other people I could think modern day with them type of soup coolers to play Poison Ivy is Megan Good or Eva Mendes. That's when I'm going to check out. Like, oh, if I touch them, then I die. Like, all right, cool. It's a death worth dying. Fuck it. I don't even care. Gina Davis would have been amazing as Poison Ivy. Robin fucking Williams as the Riddler. Come on, man. Like, you saw a glimpse of that in like kind of like something like 1 Hour Photo or Insomnia with Al Pacino and Hilary Swank. You got glimpses of that type of shit when he was in that role. He was going to bring Billy D. Williams back, and all you motherfuckers out there that's like bitching about race swapping and nowadays in this movie, everybody forgets that Harvey Dent was black in the first Batman movie.
Yeah,
he was going to bring Billy D. Williams back to be Two-Face, but Two-Face, Poison Ivy, and I'm sorry, like I know a lot of people aren't fans of this, but Marlon Wayans as Robin, I know a lot of people hate that idea, but if you go and watch how fun and likable Marlon Wayans was as Ripcord in G.I. Joe Retaliation, or not, G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, he could have pulled it off. He definitely could have pulled that shit off, man. And people forget Marlon Wayans can act, and he's a likable sidekick. Whether it was G.I. Joe, whether it was Dungeons and Dragons, he may get annoying at times, but that's what the fuck sidekicks do.
Rim.
Above the he was a sidekick in that shit too. He's Boogaloo. Yeah. He sure was. He sure was, yo. But I think that the cast that Tim Burton was putting together, man, I think it was, and Michael Keaton coming back for the third go round, I think they were going to get a lot darker, which is hard to do. If you go back and watch Batman Returns,
was in talks of coming back too.
Man, because she survived at the end, right? She had one life left. And I would have been cool with that. Maybe Bruce saved her in order to save her one life and just come live with me forever and ever, like in a fairy tale, like how she said in the second movie. But I think that Tim Burton doing that third Batman movie, man, that's something that everybody's going to talk about like forever, because Joel Schumacher, again, God rest his soul, he did not do a bad job with Batman Forever.
Right, he just didn't.
And Val Kilmer, and now that Val Kilmer's gone, I think a lot more people are going to appreciate Val Kilmer more. And like, I already liked him as Bruce Wayne, but I remember maybe like a year and a half ago, I went back and did Batman Forever commentary, and I was like, Val Kilmer's a great Bruce Wayne. He's not a good Bruce Wayne. He's a great Bruce Wayne. He looks like he's like kind of psychologically damaged and has some fucked up things about him, but he's great in the role. And even him as Batman is not bad, and there's good Riddler moments. I think the shit that didn't work in the movie is a lot of like the tone and Tommy Lee Jones and shit like that. Like a lot of that shit doesn't work, but I like Tim Burton being on board for a third movie. I just think it would have been a home run, and I think Tim Burton probably could have handed the keys off to somebody to do the next 3 movies if they would have continued on after that. But that was the big fucking missed opportunity for Tim Burton not to do, Batman triumphant, whatever it was going to be.
Oh man, that would have been. That is a big what if right there. If he got to finish his trilogy.
Yeah. They don't really be trying to give, like I wondered if that was the same thing. Like, did they want Tim Burton to direct Pee-wee's, like Big Top Pee-wee also? Because he didn't come back for that.
No, he was out of the loop for that. So he only did Big Adventure, but he was not interested in doing the sequel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I always wondered about that. Always wondered if he was, I was like, wait, was he supposed to do that? But no, apparently not. But yeah, that was my number one. Tim Burton's Batman 3.
Continuing on the theme of directors getting fucked over, let's talk about Neil Blomkamp again in Alien 5, because you want to talk about a director that got fucked over. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how. Let's talk about how Neil Blomkamp got fucked over with No Vaseline by Ridley Scott. Let's talk about that, because that motherfucker, Ridley Scott, needs to fucking go away. You ruined what possibly could have been one of the greatest Alien entries of the franchise, but you instead decided to fucking develop Prometheus, which is a great sci-fi movie, but is not a great alien movie.
Exactly.
And there is a difference there, and it took me a while to understand that difference, because on rewatch, I realized that there is a good movie here, but once you start incorporating the alien and the xenomorphs, it just falls off the fucking rails. And seeing the poster art, the concept art, the test footage that Neil Blomkamp was doing, they're going to bring back new Michael Biehn, Sigourney Weaver, and they're going to ignore Alien 3, and we're finally going to get a fucking true conclusion to that story. What could have been? Because I think Neil Blomkamp would have been the perfect director to get that franchise back on track. You look at District 9, say what you want about Chappie or Elysium, but Neil Blomkamp has a good eye when it comes to sci-fi action. Like this.
Yeah, he does, man.
He's
that guy. He's that guy. He's that new guy.
Yeah, and you didn't trust him enough with Halo, obviously. You know what I mean? You didn't trust him enough with Halo because he was still green. But he took that footage that he shot for Halo and made District 9 for it.
Fire.
Yeah. And, yeah, Alien 5 would have been great. It would have been great.
You saw the concept art? The concept art?
Yeah, Bloody Disgusting had... When Alien Romulus was being released, Bloody Disgusting had ran an article on Neil Blomkamp's Alien 5 and showed all the concept art that he had up until that point. And that shit looked fire. Michael Biehn with the eye patch all swole and ready to go. Like, oh, what?
Newt was all grown up.
Weaver.
There was concept art of Ripley like inside of like a xenomorph. I don't know if it was a shell or something she was inside of. It was like a suit. And bro, I'm like, listen, that's a universe where the possibilities are endless, and you got somebody like Neil Blomkamp who knows this sci-fi shit, and you just bro, I always said, that's why I said it was one of my honorable mentions, because when I found that out, I was like, oh, so Ridley Scott just bullied him, and Fox, I'm telling you, Fox was like, listen, Neil, we fucks with you, kid, but it's Ridley Scott, man. Like, come on now. Like, I feel like that's what happened, and that's not. That shit was not fair. That shit was not fair at all, man. It was such bullshit.
And then we got
and I feel like people,
2 Prometheus movies that were bullshit. Like, get the fuck out of here with that.
People would have responded way better to Neil Blomkamp's Alien 5 as opposed to Prometheus, because I feel like there's a lot of people that they just dick rode Prometheus because it's Ridley Scott. Oh, it's Ridley Scott. It's like, nah, man, because Prometheus, me, personally, I got to go back and watch it because I did not understand a lot of it. Like, I'm not afraid to be that guy that's like, I didn't know what the fuck happened. I don't care. Like, yeah, I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
And also,
but I think a lot of people just ran with it.
It also, like, flies in the face of its own mythology, too, because, like, the engineers created the xenomorphs to, like, exterminate.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on. Yeah,
but
come on, man.
Then you have another mythology where, like, they're bred by the predators and they breed them so they can hunt them, so they can have their own suicide mission. Like, what? Like, where's the... I mean, I could totally see them, like, doing that shit, but I don't think that's, like, the whole mythology behind it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous what they came up with in Prometheus, and it's like, yo, y'all did this instead of that? I listen. Now, granted, I don't know. Maybe when I go back and watch Prometheus again for like the second time or third time, maybe I'll appreciate it more. But as of right now, I feel like I'm going to be watching it, especially because we're having this conversation. I feel like I'm going to be watching Prometheus, just looking at it like, you could have been something. You could have been something completely different, and I don't even want to fucking like you, even if I do.
Yeah,
like, it's insane, yo. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's my number 1. Alien 5. What could have been? You know, you look back and you look at Alien 3, Resurrection, Prometheus. You talk about a franchise that fucking picks up the pieces and just fails miserably with each passing entry. Like, I like Romulus, okay. Romulus is okay, but it's not Alien, and it's not Aliens. So,
he said, no, Romulus was good. Wait, so Covenant? Did you like Covenant?
No, I didn't like Covenant. Yeah, I didn't like Covenant either. Like, I like the casting in it. That sequence in the medical bay was pretty intense, but other than that, it's not a good movie. At least not to me. It isn't. That med bay scene though is pretty intense.
Which one? Where the thing was coming out that guy's back?
Yeah, and then like the girl with her I think it's her fiance or whatever. She goes back for him and shit, and she gets stuck in there with him.
Yeah, that the one girl, she was actually the mom in the Pet Sematary remake, but her when she locks the door and then she slips on the blood and shoots the fucking seal, and I'm like, you're just a klutz altogether. Like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. You're just ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my number 1, dude. Those are our directors what ifs. Our director what ifs. These are movies we wish these directors had done. Seriously, because honestly, I think the world would have been better for it if we had seen these movies, and I think they would have made a lot of money.
Yeah, I for sure had I had Neil Blomkamp, Alien 5 on my honorable mentions. I had Peter Jackson, Dream Lover. I had Breck Eisner for Friday the 13th Part 2 on my honorable mentions also. The boy that did The Crazies, that was going to do the Jason in the Snow remake from based off the 2009 movie. And I had, speaking of Quentin Tarantino, I had Quentin Tarantino as Halloween 6. Because remember, he was supposed to direct Halloween 6 at some point in time.
It would have been
Listen,
just them. It would have just been them just sitting around a table just talking about Michael Myers for like an hour and a half until he shows up.
listen. Be that as it may, I think there's one thing we can agree on in with Quentin Tarantino with Halloween 6, or maybe not. But I think we would have gotten the best fucking dialogue from Dr. Loomis in the entire series. I think whether it was a monologue, whether it was an exchange, the way Quentin Tarantino writes dialogue, I know for sure if Donald Pleasance was around at the time, he was going to bring the best out of Donald Pleasance as far as the performance goes, man, because he was not going to fuck around with that dialogue, bro. He was not. But as far as tension and all of that shit, I don't know about all that. Like, I don't know if we would have got that shit out of fucking Quentin. I don't know, man. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it. Dialogue-wise would have been good.
For me, Tarantino it'd be Django and Zorro. He had proposed of doing a team-up film of Django and Zorro, which I would have loved to have seen. I think that would have been great. But legal issues because Disney owns Zorro, and they're not going to let him use that at all.
It was like, who wants it? Tarantino. It was like, nah. Tell him we're not home. Fuck it.
I got a couple of Robert Rodriguez films. Red Sonja, back in 2008, was being developed by Troublemaker Studios with Rose McGowan starring as Red Sonja, but Brigitte Nielsen from the 80s was the original Red Sonja. So yeah.
I have not seen the original, now that I think about it.
And then there was another one. And Machete Kills Again in space. It was teased in Machete Kills, where he lights up the machete as a lightsaber, but they couldn't do it for obvious reasons. Expensive reasons.
It happened in the second movie?
Yeah, it happened in the post-credit scene.
Jesus Christ! I need to get on them because I've never sat through the Machete movies, but I did put those on my on one of my lists. I put them up there.
And yeah, I think that's it for me. Honestly, I don't got anything else.
Yeah, I think that's it for my honorable mentions too. I had Neil Blomkamp, Peter Jackson, Breck Eisner, and Quentin Tarantino. I was trying to work on more honorable mentions, but I couldn't think of any ones that were like worth getting in depth into for the most part.
Yeah, same here. James Cameron, Spider-Man, but nah.
Ooh, I did see that, and I was like, I didn't put it on my list, but I was like, I was looking at it like,
but we technically did get the James Cameron Spider-Man because we got the cartoon. The cartoon was born out of that script.
James Cameron, though, man, I was looking at it. I was like, I don't know, man. I said, which James Cameron were we going to get? Like T2, The Abyss? Like, what were we doing here? I wasn't sure, so I didn't put it down.
True Lies, James Cameron, bro. This was before True Lies. Like, this is still when James Cameron was still in his bag, bro.
Yeah, I would have taken that. As soon as you had me at True Lies, I'd have been like, yep, take it. Absolutely, take it.
That would wrap up our show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys had a blast. This will air again on YouTube on my channel at Zuko's Corner at 6 a.m. the warm up and 9 a.m. the main event. Please follow Romero Tutor at his following podcast down in the links below. Be sure to follow me on TikTok, Instagram at Zuko's Corner. And until then, we will see you back on the 27th.
And thanks to everybody that tuned in. Everybody, all three of y'all that tuned in tonight. No, we appreciate it, man. Every single time, we do appreciate y'all for sure.
Yeah,
bro. Listen, I'm going to. I'll probably be messaging you at some point, because I do want to do that because we were talking about that hip hop and basketball comparison.
yeah.
We have to map out. It doesn't have to be next episode, but we got to do that whole. Like comparing the hip hop artists to the directors, yo, we have to do that shit.
I think we both should come up with like I think we should both agree on the artist, and then we come up with the I think we should both agree on the artist and the director, and then we'll have a discussion about it.
And we can start doing that. I remember you mentioned a couple episodes ago the blind rankings. We can start getting into that too.
Yeah,
like just throwing the blind rankings out there, or just letting letting the listeners and shit like that throw the blind rankings out there for us, and we just just tackle them right then and there. I'm with that shit too.
Okay, we'll start doing that hopefully in June. I don't know what we're gonna do on the 27th. The 27th is
hold up, let me mark it down.
So we'll figure that out. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you in 2 weeks. Till then, stay safe, stay hydrated, and go Knicks. I'm just gonna root for the Knicks the whole time.
Got it. Wait, the Knicks are playing what? Boston?
Yeah.
Yeah, go Knicks, yo. Go Knicks. Go Knicks. And listen, no disrespect to any of our listeners from Boston, but fuck out of here, okay? Go Knicks.
Go Knicks.
Yeah, go Knicks, Brunson, Cat, and all the rest of them guys, and Josh Hart. Plus Josh Hart's an ex-Laker, so we got to root for him also.
Sounds good. All right, brother, man. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, bro.
See you.